Foundation Level 1, Test 1, written by Erin and Willoughby on Willoughby. A. Enter at the working walk, proceed down center line to X without halting. X to H, continue working walk along diagonal. H to C, continue working walk to C. After C, turn right on quarter line. B to F, leg yield left to rail between B and F. B to F, between B and F, circle right 20 meters. Continue working walk to K. KXM, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride and allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. M to C, working walk. Pass C, turn left onto the quarter line. E to K, leg yield right to rail between E and K. E to K. Between E and K, circle left 20 meters. Continue working walk to A. A through C, 3-loop serpentine. HXF, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride and allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. F to K, working walk. K to X, proceed along diagonal to X and turn down center line. X to G. Between X and G, halt, salute. Now, the one thing she did forget there in that test was to do the halt and the dismount at the end of it. But let's go through again now and talk about what's right and what's wrong. This was a very nice test, I thought, pretty much throughout. The horse enters really nice and straight, has a good steady working walk. Now, there could be a little more lift in this walk and just a little more sense of impulsion, but the steadiness is really good, stays really quietly on the bridle through most of this. As I said, what I would just like to see is just a little more impulsion. You see how it kind of drops away and she has to put her leg on occasionally. But other than that, this is really good. Makes a good turn here. Notice how nicely the horse was bent. Of course, could have started that leg heel just a little bit sooner, was a little bit late, and then begun to trail the hindquarters a little bit, but not badly. It comes back to a good working walk here. Once again, we can see how once in a while the horse kind of loses a hind leg behind it from time to time in a step, which tells me it's not quite staying up through its back totally consistently with every step. That is relative to a perfect ride. But this is really very nice. The horse stays well engaged, nicely quietly on the bridle. Just what we're looking for at this level. As I said, once again, there could be a little more sense of a lift and a little steadier in the rhythm, with a little more sense of impulsion. But mostly this is very good. Stretch here starts really nicely. Could stretch a little bit deeper, but I like how it started to lengthen the stride. That's very correct. I would have liked to seen the stretch get a little bit deeper than it does, but it does begin to swing out a little more actively from behind. And comes back nicely into the working walk without any difficulties or resistance. Nicely engaged through that turn. Little better leg yield on this side. Would like to see a little more stepping over, but that was not bad. Better than the first one. But once again, comes back to a really nice, steady working walk. Notice how little the rider is having to move her hands around at this level with this horse, which tells us how far she's come. When we see riders having to move their hands a lot, we know the horse hasn't quite settled into the bridle yet, but this is really quite good. And now she goes into the serpentine. Her geography, that is the way she's using the ring, is really quite good throughout all this. Notice how nicely she makes the changes of bend without too much loss of rhythm or resistance. Rider has a good position. Her legs are in the correct position. Notice her outside leg is back on those turns. It's one of the first things I look at when we talk about the rider score is do they have enough strength to get their outside leg in the correct position when they're bending the horse. Same thing here. Now the first one, I like to have it lengthen a little better earlier. Once again, I would like to have seen a little deeper stretch in this. Not too bad, but once again, could have had a little more swing, a little more active in the lengthening. But once again, comes back into a good steady working walk, clearly over her back. Nice how accurately she makes all of her turns. Really good job on the center line. Nice halt. The horse just resists there at the last, putting its head up a little bit and coming off the bridle, so that's going to cost her a little. Foundation level 1, test 1, ridden by Erin and Willoughby on Willoughby. A. Enter at the working walk, proceed down center line to X without halting. So now we'll score the test. X to H, continue working walk along diagonal. Straight on center line, 8. H to C, continue working walk to C. After C, turn right on quarter line. A little bit of change of rhythm there, 7. B to F, leg yield left to rail between B and F. 7 on the turn. Leg yield trails hindquarters just a little bit. Between B and F, circle right 6. 20 meters. Continue working walk to K. Good rhythm on the circle. 6. KXM, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride and allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. Stretch begins well, but could go a little bit deeper, but has a good lengthening. 6. M to C, working walk. Pass C, turn left onto the quarter line. E to K, leg yield right to rail between E and K. Good working walk on that last movement, 7. E to K. Between E and K, circle left 20 meters. Could have a little more step through, and there's a little bit of loss of rhythm there. 5. Continue working walk to A. Some loss of rhythm there at the end of the circle. 6. A through C, 3-loop serpentine. Some slight changes of rhythm through the turns, but really quite good. HXF, change rein, lengthening the horse's stride and allowing the horse to stretch forward and downward. Stretch not quite active enough for this one, and the stretch
F
could have
to
been
K,
deeper.
working
5.
walk. K to X, proceed along diagonal to X and turn down center line.
7 on the working walk after K. Seven on
X
the
to G,
diagonal and
between
turn.
X and G, halt, salute.
Lifts off of the bridle in the halt, 6, but stood square. Now we're going to talk about the collective marks. Horse's correct level of development for the level entered. 7, this horse stayed quite clearly over its back throughout, held a pretty steady rhythm with just a little bit more, and this horse is going to be scoring very high. But 7 on that. Harmony between horse and rider has been really good. We've seen very little out of the way to sort of distract us, if you will. The horse has no major resistances anywhere, or the rider is able to stay beautifully in position. So really very good for this level. 8, rider's correct level of physical development. Now, one of the things I always look at is, can they hold themselves in the correct position? See how she brings her outside leg back very nicely there. So 8 on that. And on general artistic impression, 6. Notice how consistent this ride was, and that's the thing that really brings the artistic level up, when there's nothing to distract us, when we're not hearing the bad notes, as they say. That was an excellent ride by Erin and Willoughby with her horse Willoughby. Would have scored a 61.81, so great ride, one of the highest scores we've seen so far. So great job, Erin. We look forward to seeing more of you in the near future.